I'm here to talk to you about two ridiculous things. Ridiculous thing number one, this is somehow illegal to EDC in the UK. I'll explain why. Number two, this is marketed as legal EDC in the UK. Now I'm fully aware, and I'm going to have a lot of opinions probably in the comments on this, I am fully aware that the ludicrous situation we are in means that something this tiny is illegal to carry EDC for no good reason under law. Some of the laws over here are really sensible and good, some of them are not. What I think is extra ridiculous though is that there is a big brand company selling this and marketing it as legal when it's not. Not because this is dangerous in any way, you'd have trouble doing much with this, but because a large company should know better than to market something that could land people in trouble. Personally, if someone had this, I don't really care. You know, it's completely, I mean, it's tiny, isn't it? It's smaller than the end of my little finger. But the problem is, if you do happen to get stopped by the police and you have this as marketed, you're going to be in trouble. This is the Nite Ize DoohicKey keychain folding knife. It's got a 2-inch long blade. The total length of the knife is probably, including the handle, is what, 4.5 inches at most, 4 inches probably. And it's marketed as a DoohicKey, so it's got a K-E-Y at the end. It's a play on words, very, very funny. But this is marketed as a little keyring folding knife, which I guess it makes sense, you know, just having something like that to open letters or just really small things like that. You wouldn't really be able to even eat food with this or chop really apples or anything because it's too thin for that. But the idea is, and it's marketed as such, that you just keep this on your keyring and it's an everyday carry. I'm going to throw up a couple of screenshots from the Nite Ize website, from the UK distributor anyway, which shows that's exactly how they're marketing it. I'm not just assuming anything here. This is being marketed as an EDC friendly knife that you carry on your keychain. In a lot of countries you'll be looking at this and going, well, yeah, what's wrong with that? And I agree. However, the UK law here is that folding knives explicitly must not lock in any way. This knife locks. You've got to press the little lever there. Ooh, press the lever there to unlock it, and then you can fold it again. The law in the UK is that folding knives are to have a cutting edge no longer than 3 inches long, and they must be immediately foldable. So they must be friction folders or slip joints or something that does not require you to press a button, release a catch, or have some kind of lever in order to unlock and therefore fold the knife again. This law is the way it is because of case law. So initially the law was that it must just be below 3 inches long and a folding knife. The spirit of the law was that that would just include things like this that are just little folding knives. But unfortunately, due to the way that our legal system works, there was a case that set precedent, which meant that any knife that locks in place in any way and is not immediately foldable at all times counts as a fixed blade knife. And it is illegal in the UK to carry any kind of fixed blade knife unless you have good reason under law. So in the example I'm using here, I'm filming a video. This is an educational video. I have a good reason to be carrying this. But just having it on your keyring, not good enough. Just saying I might need to cut something open, that's not good enough. You have to have a very specific reason for it, and the law has to agree that that reason is what is considered a good reason or a good excuse, whichever language you want to use. To highlight how silly this situation is, this is illegal EDC in the UK. This is legal EDC in the UK. So if you asked me, not knowing the law, which one of these is okay to carry around in my pocket for no reason, I think we would probably agree on what the answer is. This is just a Spyderco UK pocket knife, UK pen knife, completely legal. It's a slip joint. You can just fold it immediately at any point you want. And it is sub 3 inches long. So this is an EDC. This is a perfectly acceptable pocket knife in the UK. Can't really do any damage because it's a slip joint. You're not going to be able to, you know, use it as a weapon if somebody was inclined that way. I personally couldn't see that being used as a weapon. It's slip joint, completely UK legal, no problem. This is illegal because it's counted as a bladed or pointed article, and technically an offensive weapon if you're so minded to threaten somebody with it. Anything in the UK can be an offensive weapon. If you've got a frozen piece of celery and you threaten someone with it, that's technically now an offensive weapon. So you think the spirit of the law is that you have to have intention and you have to have the mens rea, which is the forethought and the intention of committing a crime with it. In the UK knife law and carrying knives, if it's not a pocket knife, which is an exempt folding pocket knife, then it's actually a strict liability offence. And a strict liability offence means that you are assumed to be guilty for having done it, committed it, i.e. the actus reus, and you don't have to have the mens rea there. It's a strict liability offence. That means that you then have to prove your defence in court and prove that your defence is a good reason and have a jury and a judge agree with it. So yeah, it's a ludicrous situation. And the takeaway from this video isn't that we should ban the sensible folding pocket knives like I just showed you. Again, you're not going to really be able to cause any damage with those. There's a slip joint knife. But the main thing to take away from this is that we have large UK retailers. I bought this in Go Outdoors. This was not with all their other knives. They had Victorinox Swiss Army Knives. They were all locked in a case, even though they're slip joint knives, completely UK legal EDC. This was just on a little rack by the checkout that you could just take off, marketed as a keychain knife. So Go Outdoors, you should probably do better, because you're actually potentially encouraging people to break the law in carrying this knife just on your keyring. And Nite Ize, again, if I haven't already, I'll throw them up now, but there's on the website, as well as on the packaging, it very clearly suggests that this is an everyday carry knife. It says everyday carry on the website explicitly, and it suggests that you're meant to put it on your keyring and just carry it around as an everyday carry knife. That's illegal in the UK. As silly as it is illegal. And as a large company, you should know better. I have written to the UK distributor for Nite Ize to point out that this is actually not UK legal EDC, to see what their response is. I haven't given them time to respond yet, so they might respond and go, oh sorry, that's fine, I will update you and let you know. But it just feels like companies with lawyers and legal departments should, in the first place, not be selling these and suggesting that they're EDC when that is in fact illegal to do in the UK. Just to address another point at the end of this video, I have done a couple of knife videos around legality and that sort of thing. The intention for me is that I want to educate people in a way which means they're not going to accidentally end up in trouble. I don't want you to go out thinking innocently, oh, this is fine, I can do this, and you're going to end up in trouble. It gets you in trouble, it gives a bad name to bushcrafters and wild campers if we accidentally even end up breaking the law. So we need to make sure that we are acting within the law as best we can. And ultimately, even if it turns out to be something that a court agrees with you on, or a jury doesn't want to convict you on, you've still had to go through the hassle of police action and searches and being arrested, all that sort of stuff. So if you're unlucky enough to get caught with one of those, you could have a defence and say, well, it's marketed as legal, blah, 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 but ultimately that's not going to be an excuse under the law. It was your responsibility to check that what you're carrying is legal. Another thing to address is that we have plenty of things in the UK that are legal. I've just shown you that my Spyderco knife, my UK pen knife, that's completely legal. I carry a fixed blade knife sometimes when I'm doing bushcraft and things because I've got a good reason to do so, as long as I've got permission to be using it for that reason in that area. We have loads of legal stuff. It's not like this is some kind of dystopian hellhole. There are some silly laws. If you're watching this from the US or anywhere else in the world, I'm sure that in your locale you also have some silly laws that are either leftovers or bad interpretations that have just never got caught up. That's the case here. Generally, we're a nice free country. We've got loads of freedoms, we've got loads of space that we can go in. I'm in a piece of access land at the moment that is absolutely massive, absolutely huge woodland. I can do pretty much whatever I want here as long as I'm not damaging property. The inherent bias is that videos are going to be made of things that we see as silly or that we think are worthy of attention. So in this instance, the knife that I've just done a video about that you're watching now, I've made a video specifically because, first of all, it is a bit ludicrous, but second of all, because I think it's information that should be shared to help keep people safe in terms of not being prosecuted and that sort of thing. I'm not going to make a video saying, hey, this is legal, hey, this is legal, hey, this is legal, hey, this is... There's no point in that. We've got millions and millions of legal things. It would take forever. Nobody's going to want to watch it. So the reason you're seeing this video in the first place is because it is an exception which makes this law silly. If anyone from Nite Ize or from Go Outdoors is watching this, you've also learned something and you're going to probably be a bit more sensible about how you market this item. Ideally, a legislator will see this and go, yeah, that's ridiculous, and fix the law. Unfortunately, I am not hugely optimistic about that happening, but hey, thank you for watching and I'll see you soon.